games are set. It will be the final two teams to face off to in this year's Ball Bowl. This is Sports Hour. What's going on? I was welcome to Game Time 1, 2 theme, and this is going to be for the preview for the Ball Bowl this season. It was a very interesting season. Look back at what happened. To start off, in the very first round, the Dogs got beaten by the Knights in 3-2 games. The Knights then were able to absolutely shock and win 3-0 against the Browns before beating the Panthers in their fourth game, making it so they are going to be the team that made it to the Ball Bowl from the NBL side. On the other side, we have the Leland Cats. The Leland Cats started off by beating the Bobcats. Pretty easy game. They won all 3 of their games, and they won fairly heavily. They didn't win in the best manners. Every game, they didn't shut everyone out, but they definitely did really well, scoring a whole of 318 points, allowing only less than 300 points. In the second round, they won 3-1. They didn't win all the way. They beat the Huskies who were the 7th seed. Although the Huskies did get a win in the first game, it didn't do much for them afterwards because the Leland Cats were able to shut them out in the rest of them, scoring a total of 425 points, and Huskies only getting 395 at this given time. That is what happened in that one there. So they went to the Leland Cats playing against the Werewolves, while in Game 1, in Game 2, the Werewolves were able to kind of put in a position where they weren't able to be fully defeated. It did exactly the same thing that happened in all 4 of those games. The Werewolves were just shut down early on. The Werewolves did come back to get close in the game that could decide to make it to Game 5, but in the end, it was the Werewolves that lost against the Leland Cats. Leland Cats scoring 404, Huskies for the Werewolves scoring only 378 points. Pretty decent scores for both these teams. And now we get to the finals. And the first time ever, Will an eighth seed actually make it to the point? Let me go and see here. We look back at all the years, the Knights have made it to several of the BallBowls before. They made it back in 2013, in 2009, and both of the times they were in the 2009 season. On the other side, the Cats have made it twice. So both these teams have made it into before. In fact, we look back at the point in 2009, they faced off against each other. Now, at that time, it was two different leagues, but the Cats did make it. Now, it was kind of a different point because the Leland Cats weren't called Leland Cats at that time. They were just called the Cats. And the Knights and Cats did make it into that position. That was back in 2009. This is before the Panthers took the huge run where they ended up dominating and making it to, I think it was 17 straight BallBowls. Yeah, 17 straight BallBowls. Now, granted, they didn't win all those BallBowls. They lost once against the Rambos, who are now called the Halen Werewolves. No, that's also not clear. The Knights have made it before. The last 14 seasons have been the Panthers. 13 seasons have been into that point every single time. This happened since 2013, where that was the last of the Knights made it into. The Knights made it in 2013 in the first season. At that time, there were 2 seasons, and now it is between these 2 teams. I want to go ahead and update. We do know who it is. The favored team is Leland Cats. That doesn't mean they are going to win the thing. And that is who's favored. In that side, let's see. Leland Cats go to 11-4-1. The Knights, on the other hand, finished off their season at 8-7-1. If you look at all these other ones, pretty much every one of these teams, with the exception of a few, most of them had at least 10 wins. Well, now you have 2 of these teams that didn't really have very many wins. Most of the teams have been up there. In fact, the only teams that have been there the most often were UNC, who actually literally made the 6. They made 4 straight, losing 4 straight BallBowls against the Panthers, who were at that time were actually a much better team at that time. But we get to a point here to note that in the 2000 season, which is the first season that they occurred, and that was not the Panthers that current up to 2015. It was best of 1 series. It went best of 3 for a few seasons, and then it went to where we have now, best of 5. So there is going to be some basic points that this point but we do want to point out that there is a couple of things to point on it, is that there's a lot of things that occurred at that time. And it's going to be difficult to say much what's going to happen on top of that. But now we go back to the playoffs. Who wins this series? I have not taken my predictions yet. As you can see, there's all the games that occur. If you go back and look at this at any point, you'll see every single one of the predict games, what happens in those games. It's kind of difficult to put it this way, but one thing to note is that no team in the history of the NBL had ever made it from being the 8th seed all the way to the BallBowl. There has been a team that made it with the 8th seed to the right before the BallBowl, and that was back here in 2013. And both those seasons, 8 seed didn't make it to that point, but they didn't make it. They didn't win the series. That was in 2013. In context, this is going to be very tough. I'm going to say in game 1, I'm going to say because these Knights are already hot, they've done crazy. They've won a lot of games and they've scored a ton of points. I'm going to give in a 0-0 to start off a game. I'm going to give the Knights game 1. And we don't know where it's going to happen, where it's occurring yet. The Knights game happened, nope, wrong one. The other one happened at Charles Stadium. And the NBL Stadium was where this one occurs. This one will occur at a variety of stadiums. I believe we'll find out at a certain point soon before the games start which stadium it will be on. It'll be at all stadiums in that time. And game 1, I think it's going to be the Knights that win this one. I'm not sure exactly what to say the actual score is going to be, but that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say the Knights win game 1. In game 2, it's going to be another tough format. I don't think we're going to see the Leland Cats be able to put 2 games in. I'm going to give Leland Cats this game in game 2. When it comes to game 3, I think the Leland Cats go back-to-back games. I think the Leland Cats get it and do win 2 games. Game 4, make it difficult. This will be a game for elimination, and the Knights have done something a lot when it comes to elimination games, and they'll win that one. Then it will come into game 5. Game 5, I predict that the Knights will win the series. The 8th seed will be the team that has won the NBL BallBowl. But I want to point out something for this card because of the context of what happened here. Dogs, if we took a look at each of these teams, how many wins and how many losses they have in the context of what we had to deal with. Well, looking at round 1, in round 1, the Knights had 3 wins and 2 losses. The Leland Cats, they had 3 wins and 0 losses at that time. Look in the second portion here, in the second round, we had the Leland Cats won 3-1, so they went 3-1 that one. So it goes 6-1. As to the Knights, they blew out that team, so they are now at 6-2. So both these teams actually looked pretty close when it comes to that word. In the last one, well, neither one of these teams did much different. It ended up being 3-2, 9-2, and this one ended up being 9-3. So in context, it's going to be very close, but I'm going to give the Knights the win. Although I think it's going to be very much coming down to game 5. It might even come into it might even go to overtime for that last game. I also feel like a lot of these games could go to overtime. That is it for Sports Hour this week. BallBowl now having one probably midweek before the BallBowl is to see what we do here. And I'll see you guys in the next video.